life will put us in different situations. And we're not going to like every situation that we're in. But what God does for us, before we go into various situations, he prepares us. He trains us. Sometimes he gives us a quiz to make sure that you know, or whether or not he wants to know whether you have comprehended or understand everything you've learned. Because a test is going to come. And when the test comes, he doesn't want us to fail the test. We failed the test because when lessons were being taught, we refused to listen, or we didn't care about what was going on. God was training us because he said something's coming. And because something is coming, I don't want you to be stuck wondering what I'm going to do. And many of us find ourselves going through stuff that we shouldn't be going through, simply because when God was teaching us, we were doing other things. God is trying to give us the word. Because I said, in my word, there are things you're going to need to be able to survive the attack coming your way. But because of who we are, we feel that that's not good enough for us. And so we find ourselves being distracted by other things that we feel is more important than the word. Now, this right here will take us through the storm. This, on the other hand, will not. This will try to pacify me. But the question is, do you want to be pacified or do you want to be delivered? There's a difference. Now, I can be pacified, but as I'm being pacified, time is moving on. And while time is moving on, I'm still in the same situation. But if I get in my word, I will learn how to come out when I'm in. Because in the word, there's enough information to address what I'm going through. And even though what I'm going through on Monday, as I'm in the word, may not appear to apply what I need, because I read the word and got in the word, it becomes something that I can store in the back of my mind. Because sometimes that's what happens. When God has given us the word, we say we don't need it. So we don't, the enemy says discard it. But we can't discard the word that God teaches us on Monday. Simply because what the word is being taught to me on Monday, I'm not going through that. I don't need it. So we said, I don't need that. Let me give him something. Because we think that what God is trying to teach us is irrelevant. But what God is doing, he's preparing us for what's to come. You're not in it now, but something's coming later on. The teacher teaches us for something that's coming coming later on.
Later on.
It may not mean nothing to you now. 1 plus 1. 2 plus 2. I don't need to know all that. Matter of fact, when we in school, they teach us classes that we say to ourselves, what do I need that class for?
That's true. That's true. We do.
We did.
They have us taking all types of classes.
All types of stuff.
Then when you get to college, they give you all types of classes. And you're saying to yourself, what do I need this for?
What?
But what happens is, later in the future, when you catch up to the future, you find out what you learned. And the past is now relevant now. It wasn't relevant when I needed it or when I thought when I didn't need it. But now that I need it, I can say, oh yeah, I know what to do that because I
See?
You were prepared ahead of time. And what God is doing, He is preparing us ahead of time. We just can't be doing everything else that we feel is important when what's really important is being taught by God. That's why many of us can say we can stay home and because we're not going anything, we're not going through nothing now. So I'll stay home because I don't, hey, I got other things to do. This is more important right now, so I can stay home and shut out.
Not so.
Because right now I'm not going through nothing.
Right.
But what happens is, when I start going through stuff, I'm starting to go through here and find something. I'm looking, trying to find something to get out of what I'm in. God was teaching me all the time, but I didn't care. I didn't feel it was necessary. But now I'm going through. I'm trying to find out what can I find to get out of what I'm in. So everything we go through in life is a teaching moment.
Yes, it is.
Even though you don't like what you're going through, God is teaching you how to handle what you're in, as well as be able to handle what's coming in your way. That's why in everything we go through, he said, give me thanks.
Amen.
Because you think it is not for you, but it's irrelevant to what you're going through. But he said, I'm teaching you something.
Yes.
So that when your battle comes, you're not sitting up there trying to fumble, trying to find a word to get you out of your situation. You already know what to do when trouble comes. When trouble comes, when trouble comes, when trouble comes, when trouble comes, you say, glory, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. Why? Because you were being taught what to do.
That's right.
Amen.
What is God teaching you? Because oftentimes we're complaining about what God is teaching us. Because we don't like what God is teaching us. And we're saying, God, can't this cup pass over me? And God doesn't want the cup to pass over you, because what I'm teaching you is not just for you, but it's for your brother next to you. Because he's going to go through something similar to what you went through. And what you're going to do is you're going to be able to instruct him on what to do. But if you disregard what I'm trying to teach you, when he goes through, he's looking for answers, you were supposed to be the answer to his problem, but you hadn't even solved your problem. Because you discarded what God was teaching you.
See?
And so, yes, we're going through some hard times. Some times that we would wish could pass over us. But God says to us, not so. Some things we have to deal with, whether we like it or not.
Yes.
And God says, I need you to deal with it the correct way. And we as believers, when we get in God's face, we know what to do.
Yes.
We oftentimes act like we don't know what to do when trouble arises. But God says, what did you learn? Because I know you were there in the class being taught. Were you not paying attention to what I was teaching you? Or were you having a conversation complaining about what you was going through? And then who were you complaining to? Because the enemy does not mind listening to your complaints. Matter of fact, when you start complaining to the enemy, he's going to give you some more things to complain about. Because he enjoys it when you complain about everything that you're going through.
Yes.
And the funny thing about all this, he's the one that's causing us oftentimes to go through what we're going through. And we're complaining to him about what he's doing to us.
Yes.
If we had gotten in the word, we would understand that the enemy is the one who's causing us all our problems. But because we never got in the word, we overlook that main factor that we should have known if we had stayed in God's face. Let me see where I am in my notes. I'm coming from Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Philippians 4, 6, and 7, and it reads, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known unto God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Our subject today is the Lord's will. Leading up to Philippians chapter 4, we know that the Apostle Paul was in prison, and he was writing to the believers of Philippi, letting them know all was well with him.
Well,
Here he is in prison. He could be complaining about being in prison, but because of his relationship with God, even in his prison state, being in a state that he didn't know what was going to happen, here he is encouraging those of Philippi. Which means that no matter what state we're in, don't let your state affect your continence. So, if you're supposed to have an attitude of joy, let joy prevail while you're going through. So, on the left hand, I'm going through, but on the right hand, I'm praising God. And while I'm praising God, I may have to deal with what's going on in the left hand, but I'm not going to let the left hand know I'm going through. While in prison, he receives a word that those in Philippi were having some discord and division amongst themselves. And the enemy, yes, as believers, we have to know that the enemy does not want us as believers to be unified. He wants to continue to cause chaos and confusion, because when we as a people are not unified, we have no power. The Apostle Paul tells them not to waver in the gospel. When we know the truth, the enemy will strive hard to take us away from the truth. And that's why many of us stay home instead of being in God's face. Instead of praying, we're doing other things that we feel is more important than getting in God's face. He tells them to live for Christ and to hold fast to the word. Yes. The word is life. He warns them of the enemy. And God today, he's telling us the enemy is coming.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
The Apostle Paul tells them to rejoice in the Lord and take on righteousness. He wanted them to know that in God they will find or experience joy. He also wanted them to know that, wanted them to take on a mentality of humility, growth, and excellence, which can fight against negativity. He encouraged them in their fellowship with God. We as believers want to be, or need to be, or have to understand that we have to be one with God. So when we look at Philippians 4, 6, and 7, we know that the Apostle Paul starts off by telling the believers of Philippi not to be anxious or worried about anything. He did not want them to be held in a state of bondage because of what was going on in their lives. As believers, we must know that worry is a slow killer.
Yes.
It will affect you physically, and it will wear you out. And then you'll start finding yourself dealing with one ailment after the next. And it's all tied to worry. We have a choice. We can either worry and complain or give God prayer and thanksgiving. He instructs them to pray about everything that arises in their lives.
Yes.
Prayer is our connection to God. It is the one way we as believers are able to invite God into our situation. In the Bible, we know that about King David. Or should I say, in the Bible, it tells us about King David, how every time he's going through something, he gets in God's face.
Well,
He was not one to be quiet. As believers, we can't afford to be quiet when we're going through. The Apostle Paul tells them, when they pray, expect peace to follow. Prayer invites peace into our situation. He lets them know that there is nothing greater than expecting the presence of God, than experiencing the presence of God. Now in this journey called life, there comes a point in our lives where we will wonder if God is going to deliver us out of what we're going through. When we read the Bible, we are informed about God's mighty power. The Bible tells us that God will work it out. He will fight for us. He will work in our favor. He knows the future. He will supply our every need. And he will take care of us. We tell ourselves, God will make a way.
Yes.
But while we're saying this, we don't see God doing anything about our situation. We don't see a turnaround. We rehearse the scriptures over and over again, but we still don't see anything happening. But as a believer, we must know that God is working on our behalf, even when we can't see it. He sees what we cannot see.
Yeah.
He has equipped us and trained us to be able to go through what we have to go through. Amen. So what we're going through, we must know that we've been trained to go through. We have to know that the word is truth, and there is no lie in God's word. We have to know that God is in our yesterday, our today, and our tomorrow. He knows what to do as it pertains to our life situations. As we spend time with God, we know with surety that He can split the sea, move mountains, or any barriers before us, and allow us to walk through on dry ground. We know He can conquer any giants and bring victory to us. We know He can close the mouths of the lion and provide us with safety.
Yes.
We know He can open prison doors, setting us free. We know He can protect us from the flames of the adversary.
Yes.
We know that He can carry us through any storm. We know based on first-hand experience that God will fight for us. We know that our connection with God will provide us with the peace that we need. Our connection with God is what allows us to build a firm foundation to be able to handle whatever life throws our way. If we stay connected and we surrender to God, we will see how He has prepared us to go through or deal with the issues in our lives. Now, in order for us to come out of that which we found ourselves in, we're going to have to rely on what we know, what God has taught us, and quickly come to the realization that we are well prepared to handle what's before us. Amen. Oftentimes what's before us, we want to throw up our hands and say, I quit. Rather than realizing that if we hold on just a little while longer, victory will be ours. We just have to get to the finish line. Yes. So if you keep on running, or you keep on skipping, or you keep on leaping, hopping, taking one step at a time, as long as you keep moving forward, you will get to your victory. Therefore, there's no need to give up on something that you're going to win. You just have to get to the finish line. And how we're able to maintain what we're going through is staying connected to God. Because while we're staying connected, God will be the strength that we need to go through everything we're going through. You heard this story, a scenario story, so I'll say it again. You have to act like you never heard it before. So one day, in my early 40s, well, maybe I'm only in the 40s,
Okay, Pastor, your early 40s.
The early ones. The early ones.
I went to the doctor, and as a matter of fact, I went to the doctor in the month of February. About 6 years ago, February. When I went to the doctor 6 years ago, after being examined, I found out that I had cancer.
Yes.
That was a devastating blow. When I look back at that scenario, I can say I handled it well. I did have my moments at the end of my journey, because sometimes when you're in the battle, you're going to have your moments. That's why when you have your moments, the word is important.
It is. It is.
Because when you feel like giving up, it's the word that's going to sustain you.
Yes, yes.
Especially when you're at the point of giving up.
Yes, yes.
Because I was on the edge of saying I'd give up. Even though I was holding on to the word. And sometimes you're going to be on the edge of wanting to give up. But keep holding on to the word.
Yes.
Don't let the word go. Because if you let it go, you might fall off the edge.
Yes.
But keep the word close to you.
Yes.
Because it's going to help sustain you
Yes.
while you're on the edge.
Yes.
Because you're going to have, I said, your moments.
Yes, God.
You're going to be tempted. Even with the word, you're going to be tempted to go off the edge.
Yes, Lord.
Because many, even with the word, they went off the edge.
Yes.
That's why while we're going through stuff, we have to get all in God. Because while we're on the edge, the enemy intensifies his attack.
Yes.
So we have to intensify our attack. You can't take the attack of the enemy lightly. His objective is to steal, kill, destroy every blessing, every promise
Yes.
that God has given you.
Yes.
So if he knows what God is going to do for you,
Yes.
he wants to see to it that you don't receive it. And so he pushes us to the edge. But it's the word that will sustain us.
Yes.
Then, side note, while you're on the edge, make sure you're not hanging around other people on the edge.
Amen. That's right.
That's so true. Clear it, Lord. Clear it.
Because if you're on the edge and they're on the edge, and you think you're going to get some power from the one on the edge,
Yeah.
understand the other one on the edge is going to say, let's jump together. You have to have somebody.
Yes. We pray.
You have somebody who's firm, far away from the edge,
Right, that text.
that will be able to pull you back off the edge. Because if I told you, if we're both on the edge, I'm telling you my problem, you telling me your problem.
You're not paying attention.
We're comforting each other.
And you're not
And
saying,
then we come to the conclusion, let's jump.
Oh God.
oh God. Yes, say that again. Say it again.
So I don't get my blessing, you don't get your blessing, we don't get our blessing together. And then after we jump, it's over. We done missed our promise, missed this, missed that.
Everything.
What?
Everything going.
But when you're on the edge is telling you the Lord will. And because you're on the edge, rely on the word, God will make sure he sends someone
Hallelujah.
to pull you back.
Thank you, Joel.
That's knowing God will.
Thank you, Jesus.
Then, after dealing with that, I found myself in a position called laid off. That was an interesting scenario because at that time of being laid off, I had become pastor of a church. And so here I am, a pastor of a church, being laid off. And at the same time, I had 2 children on their way. We in college. Pastor, 2 children on their way to college. And because I'm a pastor, I'm saying that the enemy is saying, well, how can you preach to other people about stuff and you here you are, you don't even got a job, you don't got nothing, and you're going through some stuff, and the enemy try to play on your mind.
Yes, it does. It's all about your mind.
Because you're supposed to have some type of power, something to get, because you're the pastor. See, when I wasn't a pastor, you said but you're a pastor now, so now you got to be able to have some type of.
It's a lot.
But despite all of that, I had to come to a conclusion based upon when I look back, I can say the Lord allowed me to handle that pretty well. My statement would be God will.
Yes.
God will what? Make a way.
Yes, he will.
All right. Somehow.
Yes, he will.
After being laid off, you start applying to this place and that place. And because I'm in connection with God, I believe that God gonna move on my behalf.
Yes.
Because I'm the Levite. So the Lord takes care of the Levites. And I'm expecting the Lord to take care of me. So I'm expecting him to give me what I feel is necessary.
That's right.
Especially since I'm a pastor. And I gotta be able to tell the word to the other people. But instead of being called in for interviews, I'm being denied left and right. As I look back, I'm able to say I believe I handled it well.
Amen.
Of course, I didn't like being denied when I look back, but my mind frame is, relative to our topic, God will.
That's it.
So, it's one thing when I'm going through stuff, but then what happens when the church that you're pastoring starts going through some stuff? So, I'm going through, then all of a sudden the church starts going through, and then when stuff arises, it's like, okay, you get hit from home stuff and church stuff. But the Lord will.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Well, all this is stuff going on because I don't have a job or I didn't have full employment. There's stuff that needs to be done around the house, and how you going to do it if you don't have no job. So I got stuff that need to be painted, stairs on the front of the house got to be redone. The water heater starts acting up. I got to go every now and then. I got to go downstairs and flip it back on.
Understand. Been there.
I'm looking at saying I can solve all this, and the Lord give me the finances to handle it. But when money don't come, I have to say, the Lord will. Then I'm dealing with all of this. And one day when I take my son to the train station and on my way home, the car breaks down. A car that I have no intention of getting a new one no time soon.
That's right.
So I kept off the outside as best I can. Thought the car was doing well, pretty much so. Matter of fact, I had just changed the battery after 12 years. Wow. So, matter of fact, that made me a little bit more upset because I had just changed the battery.
You just said.
And then, about 2 months later, after changing the battery after 12 years, the car breaks down. So I'm saying to myself, I paid for something, for a car that has broken down.
Yes.
And when I say broke down, it broke down. Which meant in order for me to stop being broken down, I would have to spend thousands of dollars to get it up again. And I believe I handled it well because my praise is the Lord will.
Amen.
Now here's the this is even what stirred this whole message here. This about last week or so, the same place that laid me off, I applied for a position that was similar to what I was laid off from.
Okay.
But a few days later, I was denied for a position that I had. And so in my mind frame, as a person, I do a quick evaluation, and I realized that how could I be denied from a job that I had? Meaning I was well qualified to do the job, not something new. Same job, same stuff. When I look at my evaluations from the job, they were all stellar. So I'm trying to say, what's going on here? But despite that, I got to still to say, the Lord will.
All right.
In life, we're going to go through all type of stuff. You can be sickness, you can do financial issues, you can go through this issue and that issue. You name it, we will find ourselves going through it. But there has to be a praise on the inside that says, God will.
Yes.
Now, in order for us to get to that place called God will, we have to make sure we stay connected to God. Because if you're not connected to God, you won't be able to rely on God will. But in that understand or comprehend, or being, as I look at God's will, I look at the fact that God prepared me to go through what I'm going through. And even though I don't like what I'm going through, God prepared me. So before I went into the state called unemployment, before I went to the state of cancer, what did the Lord do? Well, first of all, I stayed in the Word.
Amen.
And so when cancer came, I stayed in the Word, made sure I had the right attitude, because the Word told me how to have the right attitude when you go through. And even though I had my moments, because I did, because I stayed connected to the Word, when I was on the edge, someone pulled me off the edge. They didn't even know they was pulling me off the edge. And then when they pulled me off the edge and I went back to the doctor again, I found out that I was cancer free. Before I got laid off, I was paying off. Well, the Lord taught me how to handle finances.
Yes.
Yes.
And before I was laid off, I was working on eliminating all my debt, especially on my credit cards. I didn't get to eliminate all of them all the way down, but I got them way, way down. So, because of my training, financial training, when I should have been in a state of famine, God was able to sustain me for over 2 years in about 2 months.
Okay.
Amen.
Because he was preparing me. And because while he was preparing me, I was taking the test. So when the test came, I knew what to do.
See that?
If I had not paid down my credit cards, and if I had not adhered to a strict budget the way I do, I don't know what state I would be in now. But because I did what I did, now I'm able to go through stuff, not liking what I got to go through, but in reality is the Lord is making a way.
That's right. That's right.
Because in reality, I haven't missed a beat. Now again, if I didn't hear the training, while the Lord was trying to teach me finances and how to handle my budget and all of this, if I didn't do the right thing, it would have affected me, my household, and everything. So, when I paid my debt down on my credit cards, when something arose, I ended up using the credit card. Didn't want to use the credit card, but God had me bring the credit card all the way down because the Lord knew down what was going. I didn't know, but He knew what was going to happen down the line. And He said, "I got to make sure you bring your credit all the way down because there's going to be a time when you're going to need it." I don't have to get upset that I got to use the credit card now. That was God providing in a way that I knew not of.
See that? See that?
I'm taking on debt, but God also sees the debt I'm taking on. He knew about it a long time ago. And because He sees in my future, He understands that what I'm going through now is well taken care of.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even though I'm taking on debt, I can be at peace
Yes.
knowing that God got everything under control.
Amen. Amen.
Because he did it, he worked everything out.
Yes.
I don't know the end of this journey just yet. But the word to many of us as we're going through, for us today is this: the Lord will.
Yes, Lord.
No matter what you're going through, the Lord will.
Yes.
He says, just keep the word close to you.
Yes.
So that while you're going through, you will know without a shout, with a surety
Yes.
that I'm going to bring you out.
Amen. Amen.
Stay in my face. Stay connected to me. Don't run from my presence. Don't get preoccupied with stuff that's not going to benefit you.
Yes.
It may comfort you, but it's only for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It won't solve the problem. But as long as you stay connected to me, I will sustain you and take you through whatever you got to go through with the praise on the inside. Because your connection with me will let you know that God is going to make a way somehow. The Lord will. God bless you.
Amen.